Alright, sorry guys, I know it's dark. We got a 2016 Ram 3500 coming in for a head gasket. This one was shipped up from Florida, so she's gonna back it up. It does run and drive, it just blows coolant out. So we're gonna do the head gasket. It was pre-diagnosed. We'll get this one in on Monday. We're gonna be sending the head to the machine shop on Monday, so I need to have this all torn apart. And then we'll have it all back together probably sometime the later week, because I think the machine shop said they're about a week out. All right, shop has been cleaned out, ready for next job to come in. So this one we're gonna be tearing down tomorrow. And then this one, I'm just waiting on a PCM to come for that other truck so we can get that other one done. And then we're gonna be cutting these fenders off, and we're gonna basically be putting these on a removable somehow. Someone mentioned we could do stake pockets. My dad kind of just wants to slide them over. So this is our project for some time this week, but we're gonna go up on the hill. All right, so we got a 2016 Ram 3500. We are bringing this one in the shop for a head gasket. This thing is blowing coolant. Wow. This thing's blowing coolant out of the reservoir. Driver got fired on this one, that's what I was told. They trashed the truck, so my job is to replace the head gasket. We're gonna be sending that down to the machine shop today or tomorrow, depending on how quickly I can get this thing out. He did say something about the fan shroud, I remember that. Pull that off. We're gonna be sending that out. He said that he's gonna be looking for a new bed and potentially a door, because the driver that was in this truck fucked everything up. This is just one of those things, you gotta be careful who you hire. But like I said, this is my job. He did say he was having some issues with the turbo, so we're gonna check these sensors back here and get this thing started up, and drove down into the shop. You can see that the coolant reservoir is a little low, so let's get down there, get everything pulled off. And like I said, I should be able to have this head off today. We quoted about 8 hours on this job, plus whatever parts are, and the machine shop charge. So this truck has, let's see, this truck has 310,000 miles. So the new driver, once we have this truck done, is coming up from Florida to actually, I can't remember which state he was in, but this truck came up from Florida. They towed it into me on Saturday night. He's gonna come up, drive the truck, and actually clean everything out, because, I mean, you can see down there, absolutely disgusting. So new driver is gonna give it a nice detail and get it cleaned. Unfortunately, our machine shop is about a week out on their work, so I'm gonna try to get this in and get this head dropped off to them today, and we will go from there. But check it for cracks, do the whole 9 yards, but we're gonna be working on this one in my bay, right there. So let's start getting everything apart. I'm gonna recommend a couple of things while I'm in here. But with that being said, I might throw some time lapses in here for you guys. We will see what happens. But let's get this thing apart, and I'll show you what we're working on. So, you guys see this hose right here? Nothing was holding that in. I wasn't anywhere near this thing. I'm sitting here, I'm about to pull off the intake, right? I just pulled the intake off. And this thing, with how much pressure was built up, just happened to explode and just pop itself out and blow coolant everywhere. This was not held in by anything. It was just, wow. Yeah, that was brutal. You can see there's now coolant everywhere. I'm soaked, and that's how my day's starting. I wasn't messing with that. I was trying to pull this guy off here. You can see that. That's not a coolant line. So that was fun. But obviously we're gonna get a lot of this stuff cleaned up in here. All right, so here's where we're at. This sensor here was just chilling. So there's one issue. You guys saw that, which I think I pointed it. I don't think I pointed it out, but the camera definitely caught it. So this was broken. Might cause an issue, but there's that. This is not mounted where it needs to be. I'm gonna remount that correctly. This little sensor here, this is for the VGT turbo. So we're gonna remount that as well. I'm just gonna take care of a bunch of little nitpicky things in here as I put it back together. It's not an extra charge or anything. It just take care of it while it goes back together. Doesn't take much to do that. So let's keep going. And for anyone saying, why didn't you drain the coolant? I didn't drain the coolant yet because I was only pulling off the intake to start inspecting things. So now we're gonna drain the coolant. You don't need to drain the coolant to take the intake off, but apparently you do. But there's supposed to be a thing that holds that in place, and it just popped out because the hose, this isn't technically the right hose for that, and it just started getting stuff off. See how there's a nice circle around each one of these bolt holes? This one here was missing, so I gotta find one of them. Also, while we're in here, I can show you something. Look at that bolt. I don't know what the deal is there, but we're slowly getting the exhaust manifold off, but that's what I found back there, so just wanna make a mental note of it. I am probably, I'm gonna pull all the rockers, pull all the push rods out, and then probably pull the head with the injectors in it. I'm not sure yet. I've already got the CP3 disconnected from the rail, but we'll see how I wanna do this one. It doesn't take all that long to get these heads off. Probably like hour and a half, 2 hours, get the head off. Taking it to the machine shop, prepping everything, this and that. That's where a lot of the time comes in. But basically a full day into a head gasket, not really a big deal. But I got that hose clamp off back there. And yeah, this is where we're at. So I got these two off. We're gonna do the back two and then work them in a pattern. You wanna do the outers, then the inner, then the inner. So, and we're just gonna set this turbo aside. We're not pulling anything out. And then we're gonna do a pretty decent cleaning job in here once all said and done. So keep that in mind. That's where that clamp went. Goes to this guy here. So I'll keep doing little time lapses here and there. Probably do a time lapse once we get the head off. But definitely going to be doing a decent wash job on this bad Larry. So keep that in mind. We're also going to check the bolt for the intake tube once we get that off for the grid heater, because these are a common problem on these, and you don't want one of them going into the engine. All right, I hate to say it, but this is a common thing. You can see that hole right there. We're like right on the edge. This manifold is warped, so I will advise the customer. I also see they did take the silencer ring out. We've done a couple of them. You can see you have to drill out. This is a little bit of an aggressive job. You don't got to go that crazy, but the manifold's definitely warped at 300,000 miles. We will see. Slowly getting this thing torn down, getting some bolts out. This bolt actually wasn't even tight, and then the back bolt, the one that I just did, this one right here covered in oil, was extremely tight. So we're slowly getting there. I just break them free with the old, actually I think I already got the bottom one, okay. I just put this guy here on here, and then I just break it loose and then pop it off. You can get an impact in there sometimes. You can get any, like the little gun in there. They do make side right angle impacts. I think I'm gonna get one here down the road, but in the meantime, I haven't needed one. So keep that in mind. So I'm gonna show you guys something here. We're gonna lay these gaskets out. So this was number 6. This was number 4. This one went here. Yeah, well, these were the number over in the back, 5 and 6. But see how it has shifted? Look at that. That manifold is so warped. This one was definitely number 1 because it's the most. But that manifold is very, very, very warped. Every single one of these have shifted. You can see the whole side of the gasket. It's not blown out, but it's starting to tear into the side, which would explain why certain bolts are tight and certain ones were loose. So I'm gonna advise him, let him know. Look at that hole right there. Look at that. He's gonna be needing studs here soon if that gets any worse. So I'm gonna advise it once we get the head off and sent down to the machine shop. I'm gonna start getting this rocker box pulled, and I might just start pulling the injectors now because it's honestly not all that bad, and then we just need to take all of the head bolts out. Alright, I thought I was gonna time lapse it. I just kind of jumped into it. So cylinders all look okay. We're gonna pull this gasket off. Definitely crunchy. Oh yeah, that's definitely blown. That is severely blown. That fucking thing went everywhere. I'm gonna set that on the ground there. Well, I gotta go get some more rags, but here's the surfaces. That coolant is nasty. So we'll get this all cleaned up. Probably do a coolant flush. I'll advise that with the customer. Not a flush, but like, you know what I mean. Clean everything out. And go from there. Clean all these holes out because there's oil down in there. So probably do that while everything's off. Scotch-Brite everything. Clean it all up. Make it look good. Check it for trueness. And we'll take that. We're about to take this down to the machine shop. I gotta pull all these brackets off and whatnot, but besides that, hopefully the head's all right. But you guys will be able to see, like, this is where it starts, and then it like kind of moves its way over. That hole's getting a little oblong. That manifold being warped. Everything looks, I don't see anything obvious. Probably do valve stem seals while we're in there. Someone was definitely in here at one point though. And the reason I say that is the injectors were all replaced, it looks like. And every cross tube was loose. So keep that in mind. Gonna torque them to, I think it was 43 foot-pounds is what we're going with. Other than that, yeah, I'm gonna take it down there. I'm gonna get a lot of this stuff cleaned up. Kill these, that's like the 4th skeeter that I have killed. This truck just had a bunch of moisture to it, so skeeters were surrounding this thing. So with all these new projects coming in, I went and got me another rolly cart. So everything is organized here from 1 to 6. I am going to be replacing the thermostat because if you guys look at that, the thermostat is definitely shitty looking. We got a couple of other little things like sensors and whatnot, but started going through everything, and whoever was working on this thing before, you guys forgot to put a starter bolt in. Let's see if I can get down right there. You guys see that? No bolt. Right there. No bolt in the starter, so that's one missing. And this coolant just looks terrible. I don't know. I'm gonna go over and try to vacuum everything up first. I'm gonna replace these guys here, a couple of seals, because I don't want any leaks. And then we were talking about replacing the manifold. So from what he told me, he said this manifold was just replaced. Not the manifold, sorry. The exhaust manifold gaskets were literally just replaced with the radiator before he brought it up to me. And they literally slapped that manifold on there and expected it not to leak. But if you guys look, it's definitely leaking. You can see all the black all over that. So it's like they did that job, didn't even clean up the manifold at all. So yeah, this is where we're at. So I'm gonna try to get this whole thing cleaned up. I want to get, you can see, like, I didn't even touch this side, but there's all this oil and stuff here just being blown around. We're gonna get all that taken care of, get pretty much all of this clean, and then get it ready for them. But I'm gonna try to get everything covered, cleaned, and whatnot first thing in the morning, and then we're gonna be popping this thing back up on the hill, and we'll go from there. But yeah, you can see this radiator is brand new. I just gotta put that bottom connection back on. Head gasket failure, but everything nice, organized. All this stuff over here, as I brought stuff up, we're gonna need an intake plenum gasket and a couple other little odds and ends. But for the most part, these injectors, they were definitely replaced, but whoever torqued these down did not torque them to factory specs. When I put my wrench on there, it felt like it was maybe 20, 25 foot-pounds. So really, really loose compared to the 37 to 43 that we put them at. So just one of those. I'm gonna do a second video. He asked me if I could do, you know, put the first video out. So I'm just gonna put the first video out first, get some feelers on it, and then you guys will see this thing all thrown back together. Everything, don't worry, everything's gonna get cleaned. I would like to get some mats to go over the side of some of these trucks, but this one is just filthy. But don't worry, everything's gonna get cleaned. I need to clean this floor real quick because, yeah, waiting on that cart. I got a second one, don't worry. I got the second one right there. But these things take like a fucking hour to throw together. It's between all the nuts and bolts and shit. So I gave her the old wipe down real quick. Just want to let everyone know that wasn't my fault anyway. This side, this is how this engine bay is from previous mechanics and whatnot. So I take care of my customers over here. But this, you can see all the material is just gone. You can see that, how blown out that was. It was going into the coolant ports. So this gasket is just atrocious. It's shot. We're gonna have a nice new one. Might have been replaced at one point. I don't know. It doesn't look like it was an OEM Cummins one, so maybe it was replaced at some point. But we'll get a lot of that cleaned up before we leave here today.